Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin just hit my exact bullish price target and is now starting to break out above this massive bullish price pattern, setting up a massive price target towards the upside, which we need to pay attention to. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment and the next trading strategy moving forward, alongside the price of Solana, which is extremely close to breaking out above this bullish price pattern, while the price of XRP is already starting to break out above this critical area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and so much more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly time frame, at least for now, the weekly Bitcoin MACD is still looking more bullish than it is bearish. It's still sitting in the green. We've not seen any bearish crossover, but with that being said, we're not necessarily seeing a massive amount of bullish momentum compared to previous price action. But overall, once again, it's still more bullish than bearish, especially in terms of the larger bull market here. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin price chart, at least for now, there is a potential bearish divergence to still pay attention to, especially if it reconfirms later on, because right now we're potentially starting to break out into new all-time highs, which could temporarily invalidate the bearish divergence. But if we simply just form a new higher high, and then at some point in the next few weeks or months, the RSI still confirms another lower high compared to this previous high that we set back in December 2024, then of course in that case there would still be a bearish divergence to pay attention to. But overall, not a lot has changed on the weekly timeframes over the last one day. So taking a look at this 3-day time frame, and right now the 3-day Bitcoin MACD is starting to move closer towards a bullish crossover, indicating potentially an increase in bullish momentum finally, after lacking bullish momentum for quite some time over the last few weeks and months. But with that being said, we're not necessarily seeing a significant amount of momentum compared to, for example, November 2024. At least for now, we have nowhere near that sort of bullish momentum, but we are starting to build some more momentum towards the upside, which is at least better once again compared to what we saw over the last month or so. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart here, the price of Bitcoin is now finally attempting a breakout from this massive cup and handle pattern, which is a bullish price pattern. And this only actually confirms if we confirm this 3-day candle close above the neckline here, which is sitting at approximately 110,000. And as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is sitting at give or take 111,000, and the next 3-day candle close confirms in around 1.5 days from now. And so for as long as we're holding above 110k, ideally above 111,000 over the next 1 to 2 days, then once again that could potentially confirm this massive bullish price pattern, a cup and handle pattern. And if we see that confirmation signal, and especially if we hold above this level here, in that situation that will set up a significant bullish price target for this bullish price pattern. And that price target, in case you're wondering, is sitting at around $153,000 per Bitcoin. That is right, over $150,000 per Bitcoin if we actually confirm this breakout here in the next few days. But it is important to understand that we first have to wait for confirmation in order to technically activate this bullish price target. And as I always say, even if we activate a price target towards the upside, especially a massive price target like this one, of course, we're not just going to go there in a straight line. We're going to find some points of resistance along the way. And once again, if we're still somewhat lacking momentum, it's not necessarily going to be a quick move towards 150k. Maybe we continue a bit more of a bullish move, find some resistance along the way, see a little pullback, things like that. That's a more likely scenario. But either way, obviously this is a massive opportunity here if you're especially more of a swing trader. For example, if we're taking a trade from this breakout to that price target, if you were to hold that trade all the way, and if we actually ultimately hit the price target, that's almost a 40% move towards the upside with no leverage or 10x leverage long position. That'll be almost a 400% profit in that example. As always, not financial advice. And as I always mention, I would have a stop loss just below the point of the breakout here. So if we actually invalidate that breakout, confirm a breakback below this line right here, then that will just hit the stop loss and take a small loss in order to avoid further losses in that worst case scenario. And of course, the best case scenario would be if we continue in the bullish direction. And in that case, personally, I like to move my stop loss further and further into profits as the trade moves further into profits, so that in the worst case scenario, obviously if the stop loss is sitting at profits, it'll just hit the stop loss and close the trade automatically in profits. And so this is potentially a massive trading opportunity, but it's also important to mention that with these much larger moves on the larger timeframes like this 3-day chart, personally, I like to stick to relatively low leverage. It's actually very, very risky to go very high leverage. For example, anything like 20x or above is very high leverage when we're talking about these larger timeframes here. But with that being said, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, and just over the last day, in fact, a few hours ago, we actually confirmed a daily candle close above this descending line of resistance for the descending parallel channel, which is now obviously officially breaking out from the descending parallel channel, because this line of resistance was sitting at around just under 110,000, and the latest daily candle close confirmed at just above 111,000. And so this is actually a significant change in the price structure, because clearly on the daily time frame, we've been basically in a larger sideways consolidation, slightly trending towards the downside as we could see. But now that we've just confirmed a breakout above this significant descending line of resistance, this is obviously pointing in the bullish direction, possibly pointing towards new all-time highs coming very, very soon. And I'd now expect this previous line of resistance to become new support, once again at around 109.5k approximately. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin price chart, I'd also expect a lot of support at around 105.5k and 103,000 if the price were to actually get to those levels, and a lot of resistance at the previous all-time high here, so at around 112,000. And if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, obviously just over the last one day, we confirmed a breakout above this significant area of resistance here, which was sitting in between 110,000 to 110.5k. And like I said recently here on the channel, if we break out above around 110,000, give or take, expect to move towards the next point of resistance, which is basically the all-time high at give or take 112,000. So that is the current short-term area of resistance to pay attention to, once again in between around 111.5k to 112,000. And then once we actually confirm candle closes above 112,000, we're simply in new all-time highs and heading towards these much larger price targets. And speaking about bullish price targets, just over the last one day, we've now perfectly hit my exact bullish price target that I shared in my last video here on the channel. Obviously, just yesterday, I posted a video talking about this new symmetrical triangle pattern, also known as a horizontal triangle pattern. And I said, if we break out above this line of resistance, then that would set up a bullish price target. Once we basically just confirm a 2-hour candle close above the line of resistance, that sets up the bullish price target at around 111,500, so 111.5k. And since my last video, since I said that yesterday before this move happened, obviously the moment we confirmed this 2-hour candle close, in fact, a few candle closes just above this descending line of resistance, which at that time was sitting at just under 109,000. Once we confirmed a couple candle closes at around 109,000 and just above 109,000, that activated the bullish price target. So that was the signal there to enter a short-term trade, a long position to trade the move towards the upside and then close the trade closer towards the price target. And obviously, if you followed what I said in my last video, you would have made a lot of quick and easy profits with this move. But obviously, now that we've hit my exact price target towards the upside, and obviously starting to struggle a little bit around 111.5k to 112,000, considering we do have some resistance around here, obviously this pattern is now complete. It's already played out, so I'd no longer be paying attention to this pattern anymore because we've already hit the price target. But once again, potentially in the next couple of days or so, we're getting very close to confirming this breakout on the 3-day time frame for a much larger price target, a much larger trading opportunity. And so if you haven't already, make sure you get set up ready to go on a crypto exchange to take advantage of these trading opportunities as soon as they happen, like what we're seeing right now as I speak. And in case you're wondering, personally, I take a lot of crypto trades over on BTNX, so I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this sign up page where you can claim some massive trading bonuses. For example, up to $45,000 in trading bonuses, and also deposit bonuses. For example, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your BTNX account. But that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your BTNX account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up ready to go using that first link below this video to BTNX. If you want to take advantage of these massive bonuses, you may as well do that. It's basically free money. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also use. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if if you use that link, you can also claim some massive trading bonuses over there. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and right now the price of Bitcoin is obviously just wiped out a bunch of liquidity towards the upside, sitting in between around 110.7k to almost 112,000, as we could see. And here on this monthly time frame, looking at the last 1 month worth of price action in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, this liquidity at give or take 111,000 once again has been building for quite some time, as we could see. And as I always say, usually the price of Bitcoin tends to move towards where there's a lot of liquidity, especially if it's relatively close to the price of Bitcoin in the shorter term. But right now, even though we've taken out this liquidity, yes, on slightly smaller time frames, as I said in my last video, we do have a bit of downside liquidity to pay attention to. But now with this latest breakout, especially on this daily time frame here, we have some important levels of support between the current price and that short-term downside liquidity. And so overall, once again, we're still looking more bullish than bearish. The shorter-term momentum is finally starting to build more in the bullish direction. We don't necessarily have significant momentum right now, but more bullish than bearish once again, still in a bull market. And at least for now, in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, the next major point of liquidity that's still building is at around 112.6k. So basically right above that previous all-time high level. And so overall, things are simply pointing in the bullish direction. Once again, don't expect the price to move just in a straight line towards those massive price targets towards the upside. Yes, we can see little pullbacks and things like that along the way, but overall more bullish than bearish. And just before taking a look at the Ethereum price charts today, taking a look at some Ethereum news today, because just yesterday we actually saw a massive inflow, a net inflow into the spot Ethereum ETFs. Of course, there are spot Ethereum ETFs alongside the spot Bitcoin ETFs over on Wall Street. And as we can see here, these are the net inflows and outflows for this week so far, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And just yesterday on Wednesday, we saw a net inflow of over 211 million US dollars coming into the spot Ethereum ETFs, which is actually quite a large inflow for the Ethereum ETFs. And so this was potentially one of the main drivers for the bullish price action, of course, alongside the fact that Ethereum and a lot of altcoins are correlated to Bitcoin. So if Bitcoin has a bullish breakout, that's going to really help Ethereum and a lot of the altcoins. But the fact that we had over $200 million of buying pressure coming through the Ethereum ETFs just yesterday, obviously that's also going to help add to the bullish price action here in the short term. And currently, as of recording this video, the price of ETH is testing this very important area of resistance, still sitting in between roughly 2.7k to 2.8k. And as of recording this video, give or take, the price is sitting at roughly around 2.8k. So getting very close to possibly breaking out above this very significant resistance. But in order to actually confirm a breakout here, I'd like to see at least a daily candle close, ideally a candle close on a slightly larger time frame like the 3-day or the weekly time frame, but at least a daily candle close well above 2.8k. So rather than just like 1 cent above 2.8k, ideally at around 28.50 give or take, that would be nice. And then if we can actually hold that as new support, that would be extra confirmation so that we can be more confident in the bullish breakout here. But either way, if we first just confirm the bullish breakout, the next major price target, the next major point of resistance to pay attention to is this Fibonacci level sitting at roughly around 3.2k to 3.3k. And overall, once again, just pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing, pay attention to my Bitcoin analysis to figure out what is most likely going to happen for Ethereum and a lot of the altcoins. So once again, with Bitcoin having a bullish breakout over the last 1 day, that's really going to help Ethereum and a lot of the altcoins with some bullish price action in the short term. And if we're taking a quick look at the ETH BTC chart, this is Ethereum versus Bitcoin on the daily time frame. So in case you're new to all of this, basically this is Ethereum priced in Bitcoin rather than priced in US dollars. So if this chart goes towards the upside, it means Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin, doing better than Bitcoin. And if this chart's going to the downside, it means Ethereum is underperforming Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's doing better than Ethereum if this chart is bearish. And so we can see here on the daily time frame that especially over the last few days or so, we have been outperforming Bitcoin here. Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin. And right now we're getting closer towards some significant resistance, which means maybe over the next few hours, over the next couple of days in the shorter term, we do have a little bit more room towards the upside. But keep in mind, as we're getting close to significant resistance, it is possible the price could start to struggle or possibly reject from this area. And so overall, once again, over the last few days, Ethereum has been performing better than Bitcoin, and this could possibly continue just for maybe another day or two. But keep in mind this strong resistance in between around 0.0255 Bitcoin per ETH and 0.026 Bitcoin per ETH. That's the actual price range on the ETH BTC chart, and that is significant resistance to pay attention to. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the daily time frame, Solana, along with Ethereum and Bitcoin, is of course playing out some short-term bullish price action and continuing the bounce from this very important area of support, as we've seen many times recently, as we could see, and that's sitting in between around 143 to 146, still acting as strong support. And in the immediate short term, we're just now starting to break out above this important level of resistance here in the short term here, which was sitting at around 155. So obviously, now that we're breaking out above 155 to 156, we're heading towards the next point of resistance, which is sitting at roughly around 166 to 167. So keep that in mind. It is quite likely we could continue a bit more of a short-term bullish relief towards this next point of resistance and then possibly start to struggle or possibly reject from around there. And if we were to see a confirmed breakout with a daily candle close above around 167, in that situation, expect a retracement all the way back up towards these local highs here that we set back during May, sitting at approximately 185. But if we were to actually say reject from around 166 to 167, come back down for a retest of roughly 146 to 150, give or take, and then bounce from that level, we have a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern forming right now, which is something to pay attention to, as it is possibly forming, but obviously, at least for now, it is not currently confirmed. It is not in play. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 8-hour Solana price chart, just now, as of recording this video, we've effectively completed the formation phase for a short-term cup and handle pattern, a bullish price pattern for the price of Solana. Of course, the same price pattern as I shared earlier for Bitcoin on the 3-day time frame. And right now, we're getting very close to breaking out for the price of Solana from this bullish price pattern. And so once again, at least as of recording this video, we've not yet actually confirmed the breakout, which means this pattern and the potential price targets not currently in play. But if we confirm at least an 8-hour candle close, ideally a daily candle close above this neckline at around 158, ideally confirming above 159, in that situation, that would confirm this bullish cup and handle pattern and set up a bullish price target. And if we're measuring that bullish price target, taking a look at the measured move, that's sitting at around $194 per Solana. So from the point of the breakout here to that price target, that's around a 22 to 23% move towards the upside with no leverage, or for example, a 10x leverage long position would be well over a 200% profit, essentially tripling your money if you're including your initial margin. But as always, that's not personal financial advice. I'm just sharing a possible trading opportunity here. And remember, even if we confirm the breakout above this line, activating the bullish price target, we cannot ignore other points of resistance along the way towards the upside where the price could possibly struggle at or reject from. And so, for example, if we're looking at those points of resistance, those can also be some potential take profit points along the way, just slightly reducing the size of a long position, for example, at some important points of resistance, so that if we actually reject from one of those points, you've already taken some profits. But if we continue breaking through the point of resistance, of course, you still have a lot of the trade open. You just slightly reduce the size of the trade. And then in terms of risk management, the stop loss, as always, I like to have a stop loss just below the point of invalidation when opening a breakout trade like this, and then slowly moving the stop loss further and further into profits as the trade moves further into profits in that best case scenario. And so considering the fact that we're right on the edge of possibly confirming this breakout, definitely make sure you get set up ready to go using the links below this video to those exchanges if you haven't already, to take advantage of these trading opportunities, which are right now only just beginning. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the 12-hour time frame, just over the last one day, XRP has now officially confirmed a breakout above this very significant area of resistance, which has been holding down the price for weeks, if not months now, as we can see. And that was sitting in between around $2.31 to $2.36, give or take. And we've just now seen two 12-hour candle closes above around $2.36. And so this is a very significant change in price structure, because we're now leaving this massive sideways price range that we've been in for weeks, if not months, once again, and we're leaving it to the bullish direction, obviously pointing towards more bullish price action to come. And right now, we're running into potentially a bit of short-term resistance based on these highs at roughly around 244. But if we continue breaking past these highs right here, in that situation, expect a continued move over the next few days or possibly weeks towards this local high, sitting at roughly around $2.60, really in between around $2.60 to $2.65 as another significant point of resistance. And as for short-term support, if for whatever reason we see a bit of a short-term rejection here or some sort of pullback, I would now expect support based on this previous resistance flipping into new support, as we also saw back here as support, sitting in between around 231 to 236. And if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 6-hour time frame, obviously just over the last one day with that breakout above this significant resistance, resistance, we've now broken out towards the upside for this rising wedge pattern. And like I explained in my last video, if we break out above this significant resistance, honestly, I'd not really be paying attention to this rising wedge any longer. But considering the fact that we're breaking in the bullish direction, I'd not really be targeting based on this rising wedge once again, because the rising wedge is really most effective when we're breaking below the line of support, setting up the bearish price target. And of course, the opposite of falling wedge is most effective when we're breaking in the bullish direction. And so overall, once again, I'm not really paying attention to this anymore now that we're breaking to the upside, and the next targets, I'll just be paying attention to these significant points of resistance, as I mentioned earlier. And of course, the price structure is now clearly bullish. We've left the sideways price range to create new higher highs on the price chart and already forming higher lows. Obviously, bullish price structure building momentum towards the upside. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the 12-hour time frame, it's a similar situation for Chainlink. As I always say, if Bitcoin, for example, plays out a major bullish move in the short term, a lot of the top altcoins like Chainlink, XRP, etc. are going to play out some short-term bullish price action alongside Bitcoin, because a lot of the altcoins are highly correlated to whatever Bitcoin is doing. And so clearly in the immediate short term, Chainlink is still more bullish than bearish, as I've already been saying recently here on the channel. Obviously, over the last few days, if not weeks, I've been saying the price is slightly more bullish than bearish, but simply lacking momentum. Clearly, we've not really had a lot of momentum over the last 1 to 2 weeks, as we could see. But with Bitcoin and other top altcoins starting to finally build a little bit more bullish momentum now, of course, this is also going to help the price of Chainlink in the short term start to build a little bit more momentum towards the upside. So we're still more bullish than bearish, of course, as I've already been saying for quite a while now. It's just we're now starting to finally pick up some more momentum. In terms of support and resistance, possible price targets, right now, as I've recorded in this video, we're running into some short-term resistance here based on this retracement level and also previous resistance in the price, and that's sitting at around 1440 to 1450. But if we confirm, let's just say a 12-hour candle close above 1450, especially if we hold that as new support, in that situation, expect a continued move towards this next significant area of resistance in between around 1530 to 1550. And honestly, I would expect very significant resistance in that area, considering previously that area has been very significant for the price and going back even further than what this chart goes. But if we actually were to see a breakout above $15.50 with ideally a daily candle close above that level and holding that as new support, that would be a very big deal for the price of Chainlink and would likely at least go towards around $16.40 or possibly all the way back up towards the high $17 range, close to $18 if we first break out above $15.30 to $15.50. But for now, that's the next major price target. Once again, after we first break out above $14.50, that's the immediate resistance to pay attention to as of recording this video. And even if the price rejected from that area of resistance here in between $15.30 to $15.50, in that situation, we have a possible inverse head and shoulders pattern forming, as we could see, a bullish price pattern, but at least for now, that's just possibly forming and not currently confirmed. And as for short-term support, if we break out above around 1440 to 1450, I would expect support at that level, obviously. And as of right now, we do have a lot of support in between around 1370 to 1390. But overall, once again, we're still more bullish than bearish, starting a little bit more of a bullish trend, as we could see, forming higher lows and higher highs, and finally starting to build more momentum towards the upside, along with a lot of the cryptos I've talked about in this video. And as always, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.